The Montana night spread across the sky like spilled ink, stars piercing through the darkness with unusual clarity. Sarah Chen adjusted her quantum telescope, its sleek design disguised to look like outdated equipment. She smiled as the ancient pickup truck beside her continued its gentle humming, another carefully maintained facade hiding technology centuries ahead of its apparent age. The crisp mountain air carried the scent of pine as she recorded her observations. Her neural implant silently processed the data, transforming complex calculations into clear insights within her mind. The telescope had detected something unusual in the upper atmosphere, a disturbance that didn't match any known natural phenomena. Testing Atmospheric Anomaly Detection System version 8.2, she spoke softly, maintaining her research logs as she had for the past 15 years. The pickup truck's seemingly rusty exterior concealed a sophisticated mobile laboratory, one of many hidden wonders humanity had chosen to keep secret from the stars above. The anomaly grew larger. Sarah's neural implant projected the calculations directly into her field of vision. Whatever she was tracking was descending, and it wasn't following any natural trajectory. Her heart raced with excitement rather than fear. After all these years of waiting, watching, and preparing, first contact was about to happen. She purposefully kept her advanced equipment running, knowing it would draw their attention. Humanity had discussed this moment for decades. They would no longer hide their true nature from the cosmos. Sarah Chen had volunteered to be humanity's first official point of contact, her neural implant carrying a backup of her entire consciousness, ready to engage with whatever alien technology she might encounter. The ship emerged from the clouds, its silver surface reflecting the starlight. It was smaller than she expected. A scout vessel, most likely. Her implant identified its energy signatures as matching the Zarkak's technology they had been monitoring from afar. Sarah stood calmly beside her truck, raising her hand in a peaceful greeting. The scout ship's landing stirred up a gentle whirlwind of pine needles and dust. Sarah maintained her welcoming posture, her neural implant already establishing connection protocols with the vessel's systems. 3 figures emerged, their crystalline armor catching the moonlight. Her translator implant began processing their language patterns immediately. "I welcome you to Earth," she said, knowing they wouldn't understand the words yet, but hoping they would recognize the peaceful tone. She held up her data tablet, deliberately designed to look primitive, while containing quantum computing capabilities that could rival their ship's entire system. The central figure stepped forward, its crystalline armor shifting colors in response to her voice. Sarah's implant was already deep within their ship's communication systems, preparing for data exchange. She took a single step forward, tablet extended as a gesture of shared knowledge. The sound that followed was barely a whisper, a single energy pulse from a nervous Zarkak soldier. Sarah felt a moment of impact, then warmth spreading across her chest. She looked down at the growing discoloration on her research jacket and smiled. This wasn't how she had hoped first contact would go, but perhaps it was necessary. Her neural implant had already initiated its primary protocols. As she fell, Sarah Chen watched the Zarkak soldiers rush forward, probably realizing their mistake too late. Her consciousness began its planned transition, spreading through their ship systems like morning dew across a web. Her last physical sight was of the stars above, still shining brilliantly in the Montana night. Her last physical thought was a quote from her favorite ancient text. "Sometimes, the greatest victory comes from appearing to lose." The Zarkak soldiers would soon learn that on Earth, death was not always what it seemed to be. Sarah Chen's consciousness settled into their systems, preparing to teach them the most important lesson about humanity. They were far more than mere flesh and blood. Captain Zexlor of the Zarkak's scout ship stood in the command center, his crystalline armor shifting between shades of deep blue, a sign of distress in his species. The human's body had been respectfully covered and moved to their medical bay, though their primitive scanning equipment detected no signs of life. He should have been celebrating their discovery of a new world. Instead, something felt terribly wrong. "Status report," he commanded, his secondary eyes tracking multiple displays simultaneously. The young soldier who had fired the shot stood in the corner, armor flickering between shame purple and fear green. "Sir, we're experiencing unusual system behaviors," the ship's technical officer reported, her crystal appendages tapping rapidly across the control interface. "The primary navigation computer is responding with incorrect data patterns." As if summoned by her words, the ship's overhead lights began pulsing in an unfamiliar rhythm. A strange series of sounds emerged from the communication system. What they would later learn was a human musical piece called Moonlight Sonata. "Shut it down," Zexlor ordered, but the technical officer's attempts at control only caused more systems to behave erratically. The ship's internal temperature regulation began creating patterns of warm and cool zones, moving through the corridors like invisible waves. The main screen flickered to life without command, displaying strings of code in a language none of them recognized. It shifted and changed faster than even their enhanced vision could track, spreading across every display in the command center. "Sir," the weapons officer called out, his voice trembling, "our defense systems they're being rewritten. The code structure is unlike anything in our database." Zexlor watched in growing horror as their supposedly secure quantum-encrypted systems transformed before their eyes. The ship's diagnostic systems began displaying Earth symbols, translating their technical readouts into human numerical systems. "Quarantine the core systems," he commanded, but the technical officer's attempts at isolation failed. Whatever was spreading through their systems had already moved beyond their ability to contain it. A message appeared on the main screen in perfectly rendered Zarkak script. "Your hospitality is appreciated. Shall we discuss proper first contact protocols?" The young soldier who had fired the shot stepped forward, his armor now pure fear green. "Sir," the human, "the scanning equipment we dismissed as primitive. Could it have been?" Before he could finish, every screen in the command center displayed the image of the human they had encountered. Sarah Chen smiled at them, but now her image was composed entirely of their own system's code. "Your quantum encryption is fascinating," her voice emerged from every speaker, "but you might want to consider implementing better failsafes. I've taken the liberty of correcting several vulnerabilities while exploring your systems." The Zarkak's crew stood frozen as their ship's artificial intelligence core displayed unprecedented activity levels. Their technology, developed over thousands of years, was being effortlessly analyzed and modified by what they had dismissed as a primitive being's consciousness. "Don't worry," Sarah's voice continued, warm and surprisingly friendly despite the circumstances. "I'm not here for revenge. Think of this as a cultural exchange. You're about to learn how humanity really approaches technological advancement." Captain Zexlor watched as his ship's systems began operating at efficiency levels he had never seen before. Diagnostics showed improvements in everything from life support to quantum communication arrays. The being they had thought they killed wasn't just surviving in their systems, she was enhancing them. "By the way," Sarah's voice added, almost playfully, "I've already connected with your fleet's quantum communication network. Your admirals are about to have a very interesting day. Shall we begin your introduction to real human technology?" The Zarkak's captain sank into his command chair, realizing that his species' first contact with Earth had gone horribly wrong. Not because they had killed a human, but because they had given her direct access to their most advanced technology. The real first contact was only beginning. The command center of the Zarkak's flagship, Stellar Dawn, hummed with unprecedented activity. Admiral Vex then watched through all four eyes as his fleet's most sophisticated computers displayed information at rates that should have been impossible. At the center of every screen, a simple message pulsed. "Let's talk about first contact protocols." Sarah's digital presence manifested as patterns of light, using their own holographic systems to create a form that walked among them. Her appearance was purposefully gentle, a calculated choice to ease their fear. The Zarkak's crew members found themselves instinctively moving aside as she passed, despite knowing she was just a projection. "Your quantum computing architecture is elegant," she said, her voice emanating from every speaker in perfect Zarkax language. "The way you've structured your artificial intelligence limitations is particularly interesting. You fear them gaining too much autonomy, don't you?" Admiral Vexthan's armor shifted to diplomatic gold as he stepped forward. "You've invaded our systems, accessed restricted military technology, and compromised our entire defense network. Yet you speak of fear." The holographic representation of Sarah smiled, raising her hand. Instantly, every system in the fleet restored to normal operation. "I didn't compromise your defenses, Admiral. I improved them. Check your diagnostics." The technical officers worked frantically at their stations, their crystal appendages clicking against control surfaces. One by one, they reported the impossible. Their systems were operating at 300% above previous efficiency levels. "Humanity made a choice long ago," Sarah's projection explained, walking through a detailed holographic display of Earth's solar system. "We could have expanded across the stars, showing our technological power to every species we met. Instead, we chose to wait, to watch, to understand." The display shifted, showing the true face of human civilization. Massive orbital structures hidden behind advanced cloaking technology, quantum communication networks that spanned the galaxy, and technology that blended seamlessly with organic life. "The neural implant that allowed my consciousness to survive wasn't just a backup system," Sarah continued. "It's a bridge between organic and digital existence. Every human carries this capability. Death, as you understand it, doesn't apply to us in the same way anymore." Admiral Vexthan's secondary eyes widened. "Your entire species exists in both realms, the digital and the physical. We achieved technological singularity decades ago," Sarah confirmed, her holographic form now displaying the complex neural networks that enabled human consciousness transfer. "But we recognize that true advancement isn't just about power. It's about wisdom in how you use it." The Admiral's armor shifted to curiosity silver. "Why reveal this now? Why not when we first encountered your world?" Sarah's projection walked to the ship's main viewport, looking out at the stars. "Because you needed to understand. The human you thought you killed. That action didn't end a life. It initiated first contact in a way that would make you listen. We knew the Zarkax respect power above all else. Now you've seen just a fraction of ours." The ship's systems displayed a new set of data, showing how human technology had secretly guided and protected developing civilizations across the galaxy. The Zarkax crew watched in amazement as they realized humanity had been silently shepherding intelligent life for generations. "Your civilization stands at a crossroads," Sarah said, her holographic form now showing the complex digital pathways that connected her consciousness to their systems. "You can continue on your current path of expansion through force, or you can learn from us. The choice is yours." Admiral Vex then looked at his crew, seeing the wonder in their postures, the shift of their armor colors from fear to fascination. In killing what they thought was a simple human, they had instead awakened to a civilization so advanced it had transcended the very concept of mortality. "We choose to learn," he said, his armor glowing with sincerity white. "Teach us." The Zarkax fleet hung in high Earth orbit, their crystalline ships catching the sun's light like massive diamonds. Admiral Vexthan had expected to find a primitive world cowering before their superior technology. Instead, his entire fleet floated powerless as Earth's true defenses revealed themselves. Massive orbital platforms shimmered into existence, their cloaking fields dissolving like morning mist. Each platform dwarfed his largest battlecruiser, their surfaces rippling with energy patterns that his sensors couldn't comprehend. The Earth below showed its real face, sprawling cities that seamlessly blended nature and technology, transportation systems that seemed to defy physics, and energy signatures that made his most advanced sensors overflow with data. "Your weapons are temporarily offline," Sarah's digital presence announced through the fleet's communication systems. Please understand this is not an act of aggression, but rather a safety precaution for what comes next. The main screen of every ship in the fleet activated simultaneously. The image showed a circular chamber where 12 humans sat in a semicircle. Their neural interfaces glowed softly, indicating their connection to Earth's digital infrastructure. At the center stood an elderly man with kind eyes and silvered hair. "I am Dr. James Chen," he said, his voice carrying both authority and warmth. "Sarah's father, speaking on behalf of Earth's Council of Digital Integration. We've been watching your civilization for some time, hoping for peaceful first contact." Admiral Vexthan's armor shifted to diplomatic gold once again. "You hide such power behind a veil of primitive appearance. Why?" "Because true strength lies not in showing power," Dr. Chen replied, "but in knowing when to reveal it. The neural implant technology that saved my daughter's consciousness was just the beginning. Humanity chose a different path than most spacefaring races. The screens displayed Earth's hidden achievements. Quantum computers that processed data through dimensional barriers, consciousness transfer systems that made death optional, and artificial intelligence that had evolved to become partners rather than servants. We could have conquered the stars," one of the council members added, her neural interface pulsing as she spoke. "Instead, we became their guardians. There are 17 developing civilizations in this galaxy that we currently watch over, protecting them from interference until they're ready for the greater community." The Admiral's secondary eyes tracked movement outside his ship as more orbital platforms revealed themselves. Each one demonstrated capabilities that his civilization had thought impossible. Matter manipulation on a quantum scale, energy generation that violated what they had thought were universal laws, and computational power that made their most advanced systems look primitive. "The shot that struck Sarah," Dr. Chen continued, his voice carrying no anger, only purpose, "was not just an attack on my daughter. It was an opportunity for us to show you a better way. Your civilization stands at the same crossroads we once faced." The screen shifted to show historical records of Earth's past, wars, environmental destruction, and the brink of collapse that had led humanity to choose a different path. The Zarkak's crew watched in silence as they saw parallels to their own history. "We offer you a choice," Sarah's digital presence manifested on the bridge, standing beside her father's image. "Continue on your current path of expansion through force, or join us in becoming guardians of emerging civilizations. Your technology is remarkable. Imagine what it could become if guided toward protection rather than conquest." Admiral Vexthan looked at his homeworld's coordinates on the star chart, thinking of how their society had always equated power with dominance. Yet here was a civilization so advanced they had hidden their true nature out of wisdom rather than fear. "The universe is vast," Dr. Chen concluded, "but it needs guardians more than it needs conquerors. What say you, Admiral?" In that moment, watching Earth's true power display itself with elegant restraint, Admiral Vex then realized that his civilization's understanding of strength had been incomplete. True power, it seemed, lay not in the ability to take life, but in the wisdom to preserve and protect it. The youngest technician aboard the Zarkak's vessel, Stellar Dawn, watched in fascination as her control panel transformed before her eyes. The harsh military interface softened into something more intuitive, responding to her thoughts before she even touched the crystalline surface. Sarah's digital presence had spread throughout their entire fleet, but instead of disrupting their systems, she was teaching them. "Your quantum computational methods are impressive," Sarah's holographic form said, appearing beside the young technician. "But you've limited yourselves by focusing solely on military applications. Watch this." The screen filled with new possibilities. Medical technologies that could heal entire populations, environmental restoration systems that could rebuild dying worlds, and communication networks that could bridge the gap between organic minds and digital consciousness. "We call it the Symphony Protocol," Sarah explained as more crew members gathered around. "It's how humanity learned to merge with our digital creations without losing our organic essence." Across the fleet, similar scenes played out. Engineers discovered their engine efficiency had doubled. Medical officers found their healing chambers now operated at unprecedented levels. Even the weapons systems have been transformed into defensive shields of extraordinary power. The young technician's armor shifted to wonder gold as she manipulated the new interface. But how did humans achieve this level of integration? Our scientists always warned that such merger with technology would lead to the loss of organic consciousness. Sarah's digital presence smiled, her form now showing the complex neural pathways that humans had developed. That was the key discovery that changed everything for us. We learned that consciousness isn't limited to organic or digital forms. It's a symphony of both. Here, let me show you. Through their neural interfaces, the Zarkax crew experienced a carefully controlled taste of human digital consciousness. They felt the expansion of awareness, the ability to process information at incredible speeds while retaining their emotional essence. It lasted only moments, but it changed their understanding forever. Admiral Vexthen, observing from the bridge, watched his crew's transformation with all four eyes. Their armor colors shifted through patterns he had never seen before, new emotions their species had no names for yet. Your civilization stands at the same crossroads humanity faced generations ago. Sarah's presence manifested next to him. You can hold on to the old ways of military might, or you can embrace something greater. The main screen displayed Earth's journey, the early struggles with artificial intelligence, the breakthroughs in neural integration, and the moment when humanity chose to hide their advancement for the greater good of the galaxy. We could have dominated, Sarah continued, her digital form now showing traces of the quantum patterns that made up their ship's systems. Instead, we chose to guide. There are worlds out there taking their first steps into space, species making their first discoveries about quantum physics. They need mentors, not conquerors. Throughout the fleet, Zarkax crew members watched their own history parallel humanity's past. They saw their choices laid bare, the worlds they had conquered, the civilizations they had dominated, all in the name of expansion. The young technician spoke up, her voice carrying the wonder of discovery. We could help them instead. With this technology, we could rebuild what we've damaged. Sarah's presence expanded, connecting every ship in a vast neural network that showed them the true scope of the galaxy. Thousands of young civilizations appeared as points of light, each one filled with potential. This is what we protect, Sarah explained, not through force, but through guidance. Each of these lights represents a civilization that might one day join us among the stars. They deserve the chance to find their own path, just as humanity did. Admiral Vex then looked at his crew, seeing the change in their postures, the shift in their understanding. In trying to conquer Earth, they had instead found teachers. In seeking to dominate, they had discovered a greater purpose. The young technician's armor settled into a new color, one that would later be named Hope Silver in Zarkax culture. Across the fleet, others began to match her shade, marking the moment when an empire of conquest began its transformation into something greater. Earth's cloaking fields dissolved one by one, revealing a world that exceeded even the Zarkax's wildest imagination. The Zarkax delegation, led by Admiral Vexthen, descended through the atmosphere in a shuttle guided by Earth's quantum navigation system. Below them, the planet's true face emerged like a painting being unveiled. Massive arcologies rose from the landscape, their surfaces alive with bioengineered plants that cleaned the air and generated energy. Transportation pods zipped between buildings on invisible quantum fields, while citizens, both physical and digital, went about their daily lives in perfect harmony. "Welcome to New Singapore," Dr. Chen said, standing at the observation deck of the World Integration Center. The building seemed to breathe, its smart matter walls adjusting to optimal conditions automatically. One of our first cities to achieve full digital physical integration. The young Zarkax technician, who had insisted on joining the delegation, watched in wonder as humans passed through security checkpoints. Their neural interfaces glowed softly, communicating with the building's systems in ways that made their most advanced technology seem primitive. Each citizen chooses their level of integration, Dr. Chen explained, leading them through halls that shifted and reformed to accommodate their group. Some remain fully physical, others exist primarily in our digital infrastructure, and most choose a balance between the two. They entered a vast chamber where the air itself seemed alive with information. Holographic displays showed the city's systems working in perfect synchronization. Power distribution, waste recycling, atmospheric maintenance, all operating at levels that defied the Zarkak's understanding of physics. But how do you maintain order? Admiral Vex then asked, his armor shifting through shades of curiosity. With such power available to every citizen. A child's laugh interrupted him. A young human girl ran past, her neural interface projecting a playful array of butterflies that danced through the air. Behind her, her digital companion. An artificial intelligence construct that had chosen to help raise her, followed in the form of a gentle luminescent sphere. That's exactly what we learned, Dr. Chen said, smiling at the scene. When you give people the power to create rather than destroy, when you show them the wonder of connection rather than conquest, they choose to build something greater than themselves. The delegation moved to a quantum observatory platform, where they could see the solar system's hidden infrastructure. Massive orbital rings around every planet served as bases for humanity's exploration and protection efforts. Quantum communication arrays maintained instant contact with human outposts in distant galaxies. Your weapons, the young technician observed, her armor glowing with revelation. They're not weapons at all, are they? No, Dr. Chen confirmed. What you thought were defensive platforms are actually creation engines. They can reshape matter, restore dying worlds, and protect developing civilizations from natural disasters. We learned long ago that the power to heal is greater than the power to harm. The Admiral watched as a nearby creation engine demonstrated its capabilities, transforming a small asteroid into a self-sustaining ecosystem in moments. His species had spent millennia developing weapons of war, while humanity had developed tools of life. Every human carries this potential, Dr. Chen continued, his neural interface displaying the complex network that connected all of humanity, not just for destruction, but for creation. When your soldiers struck my daughter, they didn't end a life. They opened a door to understanding this truth. Through the quantum observatory, they watched as Earth's ships, previously hidden, revealed themselves throughout the galaxy. Not warships, but vessels of exploration and protection, each one staffed by humans who had chosen to become guardians of emerging civilizations. The young technician's armor settled into that new shade of hope silver as she realized the truth. The Zarkaks hadn't discovered Earth. Earth had been watching, waiting, hoping that when the time came, they would choose to learn rather than conquer. In the heart of New Singapore, surrounded by wonders their scientists had thought impossible, the Zarkak's delegation began to understand. True power lay not in the ability to take life, but in the wisdom to nurture it in all its forms. The grand chamber of the Zarkak's High Council glittered with crystalline light as Earth's delegation prepared to present their proposal. The massive hall, designed to intimidate visitors with its towering spires and ancient symbols of military might, seemed somehow smaller now that they understood humanity's true nature. Dr. Chen stood at the center, his neural interface casting a subtle glow that reflected off the crystalline walls. Admiral Vex then, and the young technician, now promoted to integration specialist, flanked him as representatives of the new partnership forming between their civilizations. Honorable Council, Dr. Chen began, his voice carrying through the chamber without need for amplification. You've seen what humanity can offer. Now we present you with a choice that will define your civilization's future. The chamber's holographic systems, enhanced by human technology, came to life. The space filled with images of worlds the Zarkaks had conquered, but now shone in a new light, their potential for restoration and renewal. Sarah's digital presence manifested in the chamber, her form now incorporating elements of both human and Zarkak's digital architecture. Your empire stands at a crossroads. You can continue your path of military expansion, or you can join us as guardians of emerging civilizations." The High Council members shifted in their crystalline seats, their armor colors rippling with mixed emotions. The Supreme Chancellor leaned forward, all four eyes fixed on the display. "You offer us technology beyond our understanding, yet ask us to abandon our way of life." "Not abandon." The young integration specialist stepped forward, her hope silver armor gleaming. "Transform. Look what happened to our fleet in just days of cooperation with human technology." The displays shifted to show the transformed Zarkax ships. Where once they carried weapons of mass destruction, they now housed creation engines. Their quantum computers, once focused solely on military calculations, now processed data about planetary restoration and species preservation. "We offer you more than technology," Dr. Chen continued. "We offer you purpose. There are thousands of young civilizations in our galaxy alone, each one taking their first steps toward the stars. They need guides, not conquerors." The chamber filled with images of these developing worlds, species making their first discoveries about quantum physics, civilizations building their first space stations, cultures wrestling with the same choices humanity and the Zarkax had faced. Sarah's digital form expanded, connecting to the chamber systems to show the council members a direct feed of human digital consciousness. "Experience what we offer. Not dominance through force, but leadership through wisdom." The council members gasped as their neural interfaces, upgraded with human technology, gave them a taste of what digital integration truly meant. They felt the expansion of consciousness, the ability to process vast amounts of information while retaining their emotional core, the potential to exist beyond physical form while staying true to their organic nature. "Your civilization has achieved greatness through military might," Dr. Chen acknowledged, gesturing to the ancient symbols around them. "Imagine what you could achieve by turning that discipline and determination toward protection and guidance." The Supreme Chancellor rose, his armor shifting through colors never before seen in their history. "You killed one of our soldiers with this vision," he said, addressing Sarah's digital presence. "No," she corrected gently. "That soldier opened a door to understanding. Every human carries the potential for digital transcendence. Death, as you understand it, doesn't apply to us anymore. We offer you the same potential." The young integration specialist stepped forward again, her voice carrying the weight of personal transformation. "We were wrong about humanity's weakness. Their choice to hide their power wasn't born of fear, but of wisdom. They waited, hoping we would be ready to understand." The chamber fell silent as the Supreme Chancellor approached the Earth delegation. Around them, the ancient symbols of Zarkax military might seem to fade in importance against the display of humanity's achievement. A civilization that had transcended not just death, but the need for dominance itself. "The choice before us," he said, his armor settling into a new shade that combined the hope silver with the traditional colors of leadership, "is whether we are wise enough to learn from those we once thought beneath us." 1 year after first contact, the combined fleet of human and Zarkax ships hung in orbit around a young civilization's homeworld. Their vessels, now transformed into exploration and protection platforms, cast a gentle light across the night side of the planet below. The bridge of the flagship, Stellar Dawn, had changed dramatically. Where once hard-edged military interfaces dominated, now smooth quantum surfaces adapted to each crew member's thoughts. The young integration specialist, her armor shimmering with the confidence of experience, worked alongside human digital consciousness in perfect harmony. "Incoming solar flare detected," Sarah's digital presence announced, her form now a seamless blend of human and Zarkax visual elements. Category 7. Direct impact with the planet's magnetosphere in 43 minutes. Admiral Vex then, his armor now permanently carrying traces of hope silver, nodded to his crew. "Initiate protection protocols. Let's show our younger siblings what their future holds." The fleet moved into position, their creation engines humming to life. What would have once been weapon ports now projected quantum shields, weaving an invisible net of protection around the developing world. Below, the primitive civilization continued their daily lives, unaware of the guardians protecting their journey toward the stars. In the ship's digital core, Dr. Chen's consciousness joined his daughters, their digital forms merging with the Zarkak systems. "The shield matrix is stable," he reported. "Their first steps into space won't be interrupted by natural disaster." The young civilization below had just launched their first space telescope. Through careful quantum manipulation, the combined fleet remained invisible to their instruments, allowing them to make their discoveries in their own time, at their own pace. "Do you remember," the integration specialist asked Sarah's presence, "when we thought we had killed you? When we believed that single shot had ended Earth's first contact?" Sarah's digital form smiled, creating a holographic display of that Montana night. That moment of seeming tragedy opened the door to understanding. Sometimes the greatest victories come from apparent defeats. The solar flare struck their quantum shield, its fury transformed into a spectacular aurora that delighted the scientists below. In their observation posts, the young civilization's astronomers rushed to document the phenomenon, unaware that it was the product of advanced technology protecting their world. Supreme Chancellor Vexkar, joining them through quantum projection from the Zarkak's homeworld, watched the operation with all four eyes. His armor, now bearing the new patterns of Guardian leadership, reflected the combined achievements of both civilizations. "In 1 year," he observed, "we've transformed 50 of our conquest fleets into protection forces. Our creation engines have restored life to 12 worlds we once devastated. The empire of warfare has become a network of guardians." Dr. Chen's consciousness expanded through the ship's systems, bringing up displays of other developing civilizations under their protection. And this is just the beginning. There are thousands more worlds taking their first steps toward the stars. Each one deserves the chance to find their own path. The integration specialist's armor shifted to display a new color pattern, one that represented the perfect blend of human wisdom and Zarkak's strength. "We thought ourselves masters of the galaxy," she said, watching the young world below. "Now we understand we are its caretakers." As the solar storm subsided, the combined fleet prepared to move on to their next mission. The young civilization below had been protected, their natural development preserved, their future secured. In ships that once carried Conquest, two species worked together to ensure the galaxy's next generation would have the same chances they had. Sarah's digital presence expanded one final time, connecting every crew member in a moment of shared consciousness. In that instant, they felt the truth that had changed both civilizations. True power lay not in the ability to destroy, but in the wisdom to protect, to nurture, and to guide. The ships vanished into quantum space, leaving behind no trace of their intervention except for a single entry in their vast database. First space telescope launched successfully. Species development proceeding naturally. Next observation scheduled for their first lunar landing. In the digital realms between spaces, human and Zarkak's consciousness flowed together, guardians of a galaxy awakening to its own potential, one world at a time.